theme. Our second speaker this afternoon, Dan Patenaude. I actually am not quite sure how to pronounce it in English. Okay, all right, it's the same pronunciation, French or English. Is a licensed professional engineer with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from the University of Vermont, not very far from where I actually grew up. I just grew up 20 kilometers from Vermont. Dan is currently the sales and marketing manager for Indus, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, Indus, which used to be called Seal Coat Inc. He's just based out of Boston, Massachusetts, in case you didn't know that Boston was in Massachusetts, where he is and his team promote pavement preservation and recycling throughout New England and downstate New York. So please welcome Dan for his presentation here.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for being here. I kind of feel bad for you after coming in from a wonderful lunch outside in the sunshine and then have to listen to two geeky engineers like Dr. Brahm and me go back to back. I feel bad for you, but you're going to have to suck it up and do the best you can. So first, I'd like to just thank Dr. Brahm for the great work he's doing. I'm also one of those civil engineering students that didn't learn a lick about pavement management, pavement maintenance through my 4 years at university, so I really appreciate the work you're doing, and I just hope we can get other civil engineering curriculums around the country following such a great lead. We all have to work to try to make that happen. So I'll also be talking about roadresource.org today from a slightly different perspective than Andrew. I got involved in this industry in the early 90s as the public works director of my community in New York. I spent 10 years there, and as geeky as it sounds, I fell in love with pavement management and pavement preservation. But for the last 17 years, I've been on the contractor side of the equation and partnership. And so today, my comments are going to be related to roadresource.org and how contractors can use it to help educate our agency friends on some of the power of the site. So let's jump right in. You know, if your kid comes home from school with one or more of these on their report cards, we get a little concerned, right? We're on the verge of failure here. We need to take some action. This is not a good situation. Well, that's the grade the American Society of Civil Engineers gave to the roads in this country in their latest report card on American infrastructure. And we got that grade for two reasons. One, we don't have enough capacity. According to their research, the average driver spends a little over 40 hours a year stuck in traffic. And I can tell you, I live in the Boston area. It's at least double that there. And the other thing that came out of their research is the average driver is spending over $500 a year on operating costs and vehicle repairs as a result of rough roads. And in Boston, it's probably double that. So as transportation professionals, and all of us in this room, I think we should consider ourselves transportation professionals. We need to be thinking about what can we do to change this awful scorecard and this awful grade. So what are the solutions? Easy to talk about problems. What are the solutions? Certainly one of them, no big surprise, it's going to take a lot more money than what we've been spending. We've underinvested on maintenance. And not much any of us in this room can do about that other than pay our taxes. A lot of those decisions are made by politicians, and we can lobby and do whatever we want, but ultimately our elected officials are going to decide on how much money to allocate. But the one thing I think every one of us in this room can do is do what we can to try to spend what limited funds we do have more wisely. And what do I mean by spending our funds more wisely? Well, from my perspective, and I think probably a lot of us in here would agree, if we do more preservation, more recycling with a good network optimization, pavement management approach, undoubtedly we're going to end up with better roads for the same or less money. So why isn't there more preservation and recycling? It's a simple solution. All of us in this room know that's the solution. Why isn't there more going on? And a couple of speakers have alluded to it already. Right before lunch, Mr. Robinson, I think it was, talked about some of the impediments. And again, I spent 10 years as a public works director, so I can speak firsthand to some of what they are. Generally, the public officials are a risk-averse bunch. not into taking a lot of chances. They don't get a bonus if they save the agency a bunch of money, but they could get fired if a job gets screwed up. So generally a risk-averse group. Pretty easy to just keep doing what's been doing in the past as opposed to rocking the boat and trying new stuff. So getting them to try new treatments is a little hard, and if they don't have experience with those treatments, it's tough to get them to change. A lot of them don't have enough time. They get dragged in dozens of different directions. And even though the road system for the agency is probably more often than not the most valuable physical asset that the agency owns, only a small percentage of their time gets spent managing that asset efficiently. So that's one issue. And the third issue I thought of is many are not aware of the full spectrum of benefits our preservation and recycling treatments offer to them and their taxpayers, their stakeholders. So the leaders of this association, ERA, and sister associations, EMA, the emulsion guys, and ISSA, the slurry surfacing and surface treatment guys, they got together a few years back to form what we now call the Pavement Preservation and Recycling Alliance, PPRA. And about 3 years ago, some of that leadership team got their heads together and said, you know, why don't we consider building a website that'll be a one-stop go-to resource for these agency people to help eliminate some of these impediments to using more of our treatments. So about a few $100,000 later, literally a few $100,000 later, thousands of hours of volunteer time and just a lot of hard work, including some of your ERA leadership team, your current president, your past presidents, your future presidents, spent hours and hours and hours collaborating with the sister associations and a consultant we hired. The end result, it debuted, I think it was late summer of 2018, is this awesome new website. Probably one of the most exciting things that I've seen happen in our industry in the last 10, 15 years, roadresource.org. And I was disappointed when Dr. Brahm asked earlier how many people had been there. I thought it was only about half the hands. I hope that they were preoccupied. If you have not been to roadresource.org, gosh, you got to get there. It's a really awesome, awesome site. So I'm going to give us a little test drive. I don't have a lot of time with you today. I'll probably talk too quick for most of you, to keep up. But I want to share with you, if I can, how my sales team at Indus and I are using it to help our clients. That's what we're in the business of, helping our clients. So real quickly to kind of paint the background a little bit, we're located just outside of Boston. We service the 6 New England states and a little bit of New York. We do that with a 5-person sales team. And every member of that sales team and myself became official roadresource.org super users as a result of an all-day training session we did in St. Louis earlier this year. Until just about 2 years ago, we were strictly top-of-the-curve contractors doing all preservation treatments, fog seals, crack seals, micro, cape seals. So once a road got beyond fair condition further down the curve, we couldn't help clients. And that all changed for us about 2 years ago when we jumped into and became a CIR contractor and ERA members. We love our ERA partnership and membership. We get a lot of value out of being members of ERA. And as I said, we added the cold-in-place recycling treatment to our toolbox. So with that as a backdrop, let's jump right into roadresource.org. I wish I had a bunch of exciting job photos for you, but I can't really show you the website with job photos. So I'm going to have to take you through a series of screenshots showing you the parts of the website that we share with clients. So this is what the home page looks like for those of you that haven't been there. And there's a strong tendency to jump right in, digging into researching treatments. But a couple of recommendations before you do that. The first thing, and again, Dr. Brahm, I think, alluded to that. If you go to the About Us tab and click on this Data Methodology tab, you will learn from that tab that the data pre-populating the website and used in a lot of the interactive calculators is data that was collected in a survey in 2017 that was for 2016 project costs on what we called medium-sized projects, 100,000 square yard jobs for preservation, 50,000 square yard jobs for recycling, with average life extensions. So that's what the average data that's pre-populated on the website. That average data probably does not apply to you if you're an agency person or any of your clients if you're a contractor person. So it's important to get the most benefit and value from this website to go in and customize it to your region and your costs and life expectancies. We all know that a chip seal in Minnesota or Montana probably is not likely to last quite as long as a chip seal in Mississippi. So we need to make those, and the costs are going to be different as well. So we need to make those adjustments. Really easy thing to do. Go into this, click this tab, create a profile. All you need to do is enter your email address, a password, I think, and what will pop up is this database. This database is a long, long list of treatments, pre-populated treatments, and the 3 columns left to right. The first one is unit costs. You can either do US dollars per square yard or Canadian dollars per square meter. So north of the border, you've got that capability. The second column of information is the life expectancy or life extension associated with that treatment. And the third column of data is the structural coefficients. We don't get in and monkey with that because we're simply not qualified to, and I wouldn't recommend that many agency people monkey with it either, but I suppose you could if you wanted to. So once you've done that little bit of housekeeping, very important piece of housekeeping to get maximum value and benefit from the website, the first area of the website we usually focus on with clients is this network optimization tab you see in the middle. Again, we want to resist the kind of tendency to jump in and start focusing on treatments. In our opinion, our best clients of our company are the people that take a network optimization approach, specifically people that have a well-optimized pavement management system. They come back to us year over year because they understand the value of the treatments and they just use them year over year. So we try to educate, rather than sell treatments, we try to sell and encourage people having optimized pavement management plans. And Dr. Brahm touched on it earlier. We have 4 or 5 different networked optimization tools, really simple math, simple, easy to use tools. My personal favorite, like Andrew's, is the remaining service life calculator. And I'm going to take you through it real quickly here. Hopefully I don't put you to sleep doing it. But I'm going to make a bold statement before I jump in. If we can get every agency in this country using this remaining service life calculator every year, the roads are going to get better. I guarantee you. It's a light bulb. It's an eye-opening moment for people when they do this. And let me show you why real quick. All you need to do to use this calculator is plug in those top row of white boxes, the lane miles in the network. So in most towns in Massachusetts, there are about 100 miles, centerline miles of 2-lane roads. For this example, I plugged in 200 lane miles. Average pavement width in most cases is about 12 feet. And then a budget, for conversation's sake, I've thrown in $1 million here. Then you use a drop-down menu over there on the left in the black boxes with a whole bunch of different treatments. And you select on different treatments that say they use in their program this year. In 2019, you plug in simply how many miles of each treatment they did. Now, we've already pre-populated the website with a life extension of each treatment and the unit cost of each treatment. So all you need to do is plug in how many miles of each treatment did you do. So we're a mill and fill market like many others. So for this example, I put in 6 lane miles of minor mill and fill, 3 lane miles of major mill and fill, and with a little bit of money left over, I put in 5 lane miles of crack seal. And I spent down my $1 million budget to only having $743 left. Now, the real power in this calculator is what I'm going to show you next. You can see that we spent almost all $1 million on rehabilitation and almost nothing on preservation. You can see over in the lower right-hand corner, we only addressed 7% of the roads, so that's not good, right? But the most powerful and meaningful metric on this screen is the red 73. A 200 lane mile network loses 200 lane mile years of life every year. Nothing we can do about that. That just happens. Every year they're gone. So if you want that network to break even and not decline, you got to put 200 lane mile years of new life in. That spending plan that I just showed you, all mill and fill, only added 127 lane mile years, so we lost 73. You can get away with that 1 year here, 1 year there, but if that's what you're doing year after year after year, the network's declining. And how easy is it to illustrate it? Even a politician could understand that. That's the power of this tool. Great communication tool. We need to get everybody using it. So then what we do after they've had this eye-opening moment, realizing, oh my God, I'm digging a hole year over year over year, we go back into the calculator and play around with it a little bit. So what I did here is I cut the minor mill and fill miles to 2 from 6. I took out the major mill and fill altogether and put it a CIR project. Surprise, surprise, right? We're CIR contractors. I added to the crack seal program, and then I also threw in some microsurfacing and cape seals, and I spent down the same $1 million budget, but now look at the results of this program. Roughly a 45-55 split between preservation and rehabilitation, but look at the lane mile years. We have a net surplus of 11, so that network, almost a break-even year, slightly positive, but it didn't go backwards. That's what you're looking to do with this calculator. So play around with this with your agency people. Again, it's such a simple tool to use, and how powerful is that? So the agency guys, so you've shown them that, and we played around with some of the other network optimization tools, and they might say, well, you're talking to me about some tools that some treatments that I've never tried before. How do I match up the right treatment to the right road? I know that's key to pavement management success. We can't put the wrong treatment on the right road. And you say, well, let me show you a couple of ways you can do that here from this website. And this is under the treatment toolbox. We go to which treatment is right for my road, and we'll click on Explore by Pavement Criteria. When we do that, this ice cream sandwich looking graphic pops up with a big long list of, I think there's 18 treatments over there on the left. And by answering just 4 simple questions in those black boxes across the top, we can narrow that range of 18 treatments to a much shorter list. So for this example, I said the pavement condition, you get 5 choices here. You don't need to know an exact PCI, just is it an A, B, C, D, or F, like a report card. So I took a C, that's a fair pavement condition. You need to know the primary distress, and I think there's about 20 or 22 in the drop-down menu. For this example, I used longitudinal and transverse cracking, a moderate degree of that. You need to know the road type. Is it urban? Is it rural? Low volume, high volume? Here I used an urban major collector. And what's the surface type? There's 5 choices. One's gravel, one's concrete. In our area, most everything's dense graded hot mix asphalt. And by picking those 4 choices, you narrow down the list of possible viable treatments on the left, in this case to 4. Cape seal, hot in place recycling, cold in place recycling, and coal central plant recycling. So that gives your client a short list of things to consider further. Do I have contractor resources in the area that do all those things? What do they cost? How long do they last? Have people had good success with them? So you've narrowed the field. Really simple, easy to use tool. And there's an even simpler one. Going back a screen to this, which treatment is right for my road, you can also explore by pavement photos. And when you click on that, you jump into this database. I think there's a little over 100 photos now, from really pretty good roads at the top of the list of photos, down to some really poor roads at the bottom. And you scroll down and you simply look for the pavement that most looks like the road that you're considering working on. So for this example here, the one circled in red is what I clicked on. And when you click on the pavement that looks like the one you want to work on, this is what pops up. It gives you an estimated pavement condition, in this case a C, a fair pavement. It tells you the primary distress, same as that last example we just talked about, longitudinal and transverse cracking. And then in this case, it offers up 6 possibilities. It doesn't know whether this is a local road, urban, high volume, low volume. So it includes, in this case, cape seal, chip seal, scrub seal. If in fact this is an urban major collector, we probably aren't going to use those. So then you've narrowed it down to cold recycling or hot recycling, again for the client to look into further. I mean, how cool is that, especially for newer pavement managers, inexperienced pavement managers? I mean, how simple is that? So then this prospect or client might say to you, well, that stuff's all good, you know, I appreciate all that, but you know, when I do a 3-inch mill and fill, what we call a major mill and fill on here, I know I'm getting good new structure. You know, this recycling stuff, well, what are you getting for structure when you do this what do you call it, cold in place recycling or something? And you say, well, I'm glad you asked. We, in fact, have a structural calculator on the website that through a lot of work of Dr. Cross and a few others includes a whole bunch of different choices for layers, both on the conventional approach and the optimized approach. And for each of those layers, we know we have structural coefficients. So for this example, it was 3 lane miles of major mill and fill. That's the 21,000 some odd square yards. Let's say the conventional approach was that major mill and fill. If the existing pavement was 6 inches, then we'd be leaving 3 of the existing, and that gets assigned a coefficient of about a 0.2 per inch of thickness. The 3 inches of new HMA is probably about a 0.44 for a total structural number down there below that of about a 192. Whereas over on the right-hand side under the recycling option, you probably are going to pre-mill 1.5 inches because you want to save curb reveal. Then you're going to recycle about 4, and we've got a coefficient of a 0.34 for that, and then put 1.5 inch overlay over the CIR. Look at the structural number for that composite, 2.02. So goodness, it's a little bit stronger than that deep mill and fill option. And look at the cost down below, about what, 30,000 bucks cheaper. So stronger and cheaper. Pretty compelling argument, huh? So a nice, simple, easy to use tool. So then the client, again, he's a tough sell. He says, well, geez, that's all well and good, but my board is all over me to reduce the highway department's carbon footprint. So talk to me about the environmental aspects of these treatments. And you go, geez, I'm glad you asked. Let's look at this sustainability calculator. And of course, we all know in this room where that recycling really shines in these environmental features. So again, very, very easy to use. You've got drop-down menus. You look at major mill and fill on the left. You look at cold recycling with 1.5 inch overlay on the right. You've got those pre-populated unit costs and life extensions that we set up as soon as we got into the website. You've got the cost savings there that we've talked about earlier. But when you enter that data, look what pops up. So a whole bunch of work has gone in looking at the greenhouse gas emissions associated with each of these treatments. So right away, at a glimpse, you can see that this coal recycling option reduces greenhouse gases by 38%. And then just kind of a little fun fact at the bottom, that's the equivalent of 17 passenger vehicles taken off the roads for a year. So you've checked off that box. You've checked off that box for the client. So then he's a tough sell and said, all right, you've given me all these good reasons to substitute cold recycling for my major mill and fill. I don't know anything about these. How do I learn more? And you say, Mr. Client, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go out and we're going to look at one of our jobs in action. There's no better way to learn about a treatment than seeing the treatment in action. But until we get a chance to schedule that, let me show you some cool things here. So you click on that button, and all 18 different treatments pop up. In our case, we want to learn more about cold and place recycling. When we click on that, we get a 3 or 4 sentence overview of the process. We get a short list of the primary benefits of the process. And then over here on the left in that blue menu, we get a long, long list of different types of information about the process. From weather requirements, we know that's important, to inspection guidelines. What could be more important to an agency that's never done a treatment? They don't even know what to look for. Here it is. This is what you want to look for. You're putting this guy in a real comfortable position to try doing a project. To research reports. And look at the one on the bottom here by our friend Dr. Cross. It says, confirms that CIR, this is some sort of FHWA study that confirms CIR has better results than mill and fill. Wouldn't you love your client reading that report? That's right on target. To success stories. But whoa, what happened? So this website's been in place for over a year and we don't have any CIR success stories. How can that be? I know everybody that's an ERA member has gotten emails saying we need your success stories. We've failed, guys. We don't have any posted. And our company's only been doing this process for 2 years, so I don't think it's right for us to be posting success stories. But we did post success stories. I've got 2 up there, one for our microsurfacing and this one for Cape Seals, town of Lexington, Mass. Let me tell you something about success stories. Two things about them. One, agency people get beat up all day, every day. They don't get a lot of pats on the back, a lot of praise. How would you like to make wouldn't you make your client feel really good posting a success story about them on this national website? So all you CIR contractors, let's get some success stories in. The second thing about success stories is when people read them, they start feeling more comfortable. They say, oh, I know Joe up there in Massachusetts. Yeah, I'm going to give him a call and hear about that treatment. We need your help, guys, getting more success stories on this website. So in closing, what can all of you do? I've told you what we do as super users to share this site to help grow the use of preservation and recycling. Here's my recommendations to you. I recommend you also become super users. As a result of 2 training sessions done this year, we have a total of 74. I hope we can get at least 74 more next year. You'll be more equipped to go out and use this website. Make sure when you go in to use the website and you show it to clients that everybody's creating profiles. Very important. You have your own cost data and your own service life put into the website. Very, very important. Submit a success story. Like I just said, there's 7 error treatments on the website with a total of 6 success stories for those 7 treatments. We got to do better than that. We shouldn't leave Monterey without having commitments for at least 6 more success stories on the website. Photos. We need more photos. We need candidate photos, job photos, and what would really be good, if you've got a 15 or 20-year-old recycling project out there that's still performing well, get us that picture. How powerful is that? Nobody wants to see a brand new job. They all look beautiful. Show me one that's 15 or 20 years old. And lastly, share, share, share. This website does not do any good if it's just sitting out there in cyberspace. We got to keep spreading the word. All of us, this is going to help us grow the use of our treatments, but it won't do it on its own. We got to spread the word. Because we all want better roads. Here's a quick shout out, a job picture. Everybody likes those. A shout out to our CIR crew, Paul and Jeremy. Great job to you guys this year with our CIR work. And with that, I'd like to just thank you. I probably went over on my time, and I apologize for that, but I'll answer a question or two if you'll let me.
Any questions?
There you go. You let me off the hook. Thank you.